Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm here with my favorite astrologer, Jyoti Wind, and Jyoti has a lot to report to us as that fascinating April is finally here. Hello, Jyoti.
Hi, Lauren. Glad to be here.
We've been waiting for this month.
Yes, I think it's the most intense and filled month of this year. Yeah, and today's just the first day, and April 1st, and here we are. Mercury is turning retrograde today at 4:14 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time.
Okay.
And so we've been in its shadow for 2 weeks, roughly, since March 19th. And so today it turns retrograde and it draws us in to look at, what our goals are and our own authenticity, because Aries, the energy of Aries is very sometimes in your face, but very upfront. It's very much like Aquarius in its own way, and it just kind of tells it like it is, you know. And if it's curious, which it's fire sign, it's always curious. It'll follow its curiosity. And so this Mercury in Aries, and it'll stay in Aries during the whole of its cycle, retrograde and direct. It's really about looking at where one is heading, where their goals are leading them, or what their goals are, and a real reassessment of all that.
Wow, that's interesting that that's coming up right before the solar eclipse that's coming.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, Mercury will be retrograde through that, and it won't go direct until April 25th. But during that time, that usually a 3-week time frame, we have the opportunity to go inside and really look at, well, okay, where am I heading? What's my sense of direction and purpose? What are my goals?
I love that. What's my sense of direction and purpose? That sounds like a beautiful theme that we can hold on to as we move inwards and in preparation for the eclipse that's going to occur.
Yes, yes. Um, and so I think that because, Aries is the first sign, and Mercury in Aries is very much wanting to be on the cutting edge, wanting to see, it's Mercury, wanting to see, wanting to communicate, wanting to get the vision first kind of thing. And so I think it's an opportunity to really look at, what is the vision that's true for me? Not what everybody else is doing, perhaps, but personally, what is it for me?
Joji, as you say that, I get this picture is what would that be like if everyone really did
Yeah.
that work
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and then began moving in the direction of working for what would serve them?
Well, that's the point, or that's the dream, that would be great. I mean, it's really about how can I use this?
Yeah.
How can I use this time instead of thinking, oh, checks are going to get lost in the mail, or we're going to have disagreements. I'm over here, you're over there, and we thought we were meeting, someplace else. I mean, it occurs. Um, but if we can use the retrograde time to our own advantage, for our own work, our own personal work, um, that's the opportunity that Mercury 3 times a year provides for us.
Mhm, mhm. And this is coming in what is the astrological new year, is that right, with Aries?
Absolutely. Today is the astrological new year, astrological pagan new year. It was always at 0 degrees Aries, the beginning of the zodiac, the beginning of spring, new life. We changed, we went to a different calendar when other forces took over in our history, but the astrological and pagan new year is today.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so here we are at the beginning of this new year with Mercury turning retrograde right on New Year's Day, so to speak. And so it's having us go into a new year in a kind of step back, kind of almost humble, inner looking way, rather
Mhm.
than just gung ho, 0 degrees Aries, here we go. What do we want to set in motion? It's kind of like, well, maybe I need to think about this, what I want to set in motion for myself for this year.
So the energy's there to think about it, but to bring it inwards, review it in this
First.
retrograde before we take those actions.
Yes, yes. And in between now and when it goes direct on April 25th, we will have this new moon solar eclipse, which I'm going to talk about. And also we'll have the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, which is considered the main signature aspect for the year. So we'll have already come through both of those with Mercury still retrograde. So it gives an added opportunity for insight, for taking the experiences, with an inward eye, an inward cast to it.
Jyoti, I know we've been through a number of these Mercury retrogrades together as we've recorded. I think it always bears reminding that the energy is there for us to go inward. And for those that might normally struggle with going inward and doing that work, we might be served well during this period.
Absolutely. I see it as an invitation. I mean, if you're really busy and your life is just really full of, work and kids and what the normal day-to-day life is like, it can feel taxing because how can I add one more thing into the mix? I'm already taxed out. And so, you know, acknowledging that and yet still trying to find a moment in time to just be with yourself, even if it's as you're falling into bed before the your head hits the pillow. It's like, okay, where am I at? Who am I now? What do I want for myself? Where do I think I'm going?
So that taxing that you're talking about really comes about because we're being pulled inward, but life as it is keeps pulling us outward. And
Yes.
so what we would normally be doing day to day feels more exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I can't, how am I going to fit one more thing in? How
Right.
am I going to manage and juggle all of the things I'm already doing? And you want me to go inside and have time for my inner life? And it's like, yeah, how is that going to work?
Yeah, but I think it's helpful. I
Yes.
know for folks just to know that, right?
Yeah.
Like this exhaustion after April 25th may ease off. There might be another aspect there contributing to it, but it also, as you're talking about this, I mean, what comes up for me is one of the easiest and less taxing ways to go inward is dream work during this time.
Absolutely. Paying attention to your dreams, using your dreams.
Yeah. And as
Yeah,
you mentioned, asking those questions right before you fall asleep, that's a beautiful invitation inward to receive some answers.
absolutely. And keeping track of your dreams. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jyoti, I know you're going to need to talk about this eclipse, and I feel like that is all I hear about these days. It's caused such an uproar in the country. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, You know, I was going to say I remember the days, but I don't know that I was there. But, in history, people would hide when there was an eclipse. People would hide. They would go in their caves or in their huts and, block the light from coming in and have candles to ward off the darkness. And so it's a real interesting turnaround for the way people are responding to this, eclipse. And it's more of a, oh, I'm curious, I want to be there. I want to be in the path of the eclipse, and see what that feels like. And I know a lot of people who, and I hear about, tens of thousands of others who are flocking to that path of the eclipse.
So hold on a minute. So traditionally, people went inward and they went into their homes during an eclipse.
Yeah, it was very fear-based because they didn't have the science. They didn't understand the cycles of
Okay.
things.
Okay.
Okay. And so there was a kind of ignorance, as in not knowing
Yeah, but I'm
what
not so
this
sure
meant.
all this flocking isn't based on that as well.
Well, if they're flocking to it, um, they'll have a deeper experience probably than if they stayed home.
Okay.
Because if you're in the path of totality, then it's stronger for you.
So talk to me about that. What is stronger for someone?
The influence of the eclipse. I remember people chartering boats and going out in the middle of the Pacific to just be in that path of an eclipse. This is years ago. And so there's always, tour companies and shipping companies and other people who offer, capitalize, you could say, but also
Sure.
offer getting people to the path of the eclipse. From an astrological point of view, it's stronger. The effects of the eclipse are stronger if you're in its path, if you're where it happens.
Okay. It's just hard not to be cynical with all the sensationalism that's going on around it.
I know, I know. I think that there probably are people who are going to the areas where the eclipse, the totality of it is visible, that are using the energy of the eclipse for themselves, that for insights or for growth. But it's been so commercialized, and uh, it's yeah. I don't have much to say about it in that
Well,
way.
yeah, I understand that. So, Jyoti, when you said that there's more greater influence when you're in the path, so would that depend on your chart?
It 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 very much could depend on your chart. And some of the people who are going probably aren't influenced by it at all astrologically. But being in, so the way I look at an eclipse is like if somebody's having an eclipse that's influencing their chart, a solar eclipse where the moon comes between the sun and the earth, okay? And so the moon passing over the sun, it's like, we're bombarded by the rays of the sun all the time. You could see the sun as the sun, you could see the sun as the higher self. We are in the shower of that energy, and then the moon comes and blocks it all out for just a split second or a minute or 2 minutes, whatever it is. And I always felt like other energies, other knowledge, other opportunities can just filter right into you. And then the moon goes, and then we're in the shower of the sun as we live our day to day lives. It's just the way I look at it. So for those people who are being um, affected astrologically by degree, um, uh, in this shower, and it's personal to them in a sense, and something's being blocked for just a moment. It's like new time, new energies, new insights, new ways of doing things, and then it goes, and then it's up to you over that next 3 to 6 months to implement whatever that was about for you.
Okay. So what you just shared there, the new insights that would come with this new moon solar eclipse are going to happen regardless, because that happens every eclipse, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, every new moon
new moon
eclipse.
eclipse. But
Yes.
are there particular aspects that people would have in their chart that would make this particular one more influential?
Sure, if they were born on the 8th of April, that's a major change.
Sure.
Over the next year, you look back and you go, wow, I've changed. I don't even care about any of that stuff anymore, you
Okay.
know?
So if that
Um,
happened to be on their birth date.
yes, yes, because it would be by degree. But then a couple days aside, the 6th of April, the 5th of April, yeah, and then a couple days even after, like the 9th, the 10th, if the people were born in that time frame, they would be influenced by this eclipse personally.
Okay. Okay.
So, but if they had, the eclipse is at 19 degrees, 24 minutes of Aries, and if they had a planet at 19 degrees Cancer or 19 Leo or 19 Libra or 19 Sag or 19 Capricorn or something around that, they would also experience the influence of this eclipse. And it's a new moon. So it's a solar new moon eclipse. So it talks about a new cycle of something.
Sure.
And it's Aries, it's going to be risk taking. People like to dangle their toes off the edge of the cliff when it's Aries, it's daring the existing energies. It could be, a whole new way of looking at life, a whole new cycle like, hey, I want to move, or I want to go do something else. For me, it's a new cycle of healing and it's a new cycle of truth and authenticity. That's how I see this eclipse.
And what is that based on? What aspects of it?
Just that it's a new moon in Aries, a new
Okay.
moon eclipse in Aries. And so Aries can be truth seekers, and truth tellers like Aquarius. And authenticity is very important. Most of the times with Aries, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
No hidden agendas.
Not usually, unless they have some other things going on in the chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're usually above board, and will tell you. Will
Mhm.
tell you their truth, and even if it's a little intense, but they'll tell you. Yeah.
So Jyoti, for the population that is not traveling to,
Yes.
what would you suggest for folks to be in the energy of and in the spirit of this aspect?
Well, I got an email from someone the other day, and she asked me that very question. Yeah, and so I suggested that if she can find time to meditate during that time, or
Okay.
just in the middle of whatever it is you're doing, and that's like noon, right around noon, for Mountain Daylight Time, and just be open in your with the desire to be open to what's coming in for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I find the combination of Mercury going retrograde and then this new moon eclipse and the start of the astrological new year all really fascinating how that all lines up. I almost feel like this week is like an opportunity to prepare um, your insights, your thoughts, you kind of align that vision for yourself.
Yes, as we step into this next year. Yeah. Um, it's like a beginning of newness, you
Mm,
know, And it depends on what you want to take out of the equation that no longer serves you, and what you might want to put in or just be with that's just there. But opening yourself to a new cycle of insight and authenticity, and being who you really are. I mean, who you really are, not who you
Yeah.
think you are or who you've been led to believe you are, but who you really are.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification. I think we all need that reminder.
Yes, everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jyoti?
Um, I don't think so. I think that I just think we're heading into a new time, and this Mercury retrograde and this eclipse in Aries are giving us opportunities for a new vision, for a new vision for ourselves, a new earth, as it's called, however you look at it. But I think the key point is just, really being in your authenticity, really being with who you really are and know yourself to be, or want to know who you are.
Yeah. Profound words to leave us with for the next couple weeks, Jyoti. Thank you. So grateful for your insights and for some clarity on these upcoming aspects.
Thank you, Lauren.